Breaking news out of Bloomberg, XRP approval odds reach 95%. And today on Good Evening Crypto, we're going to be showing our listeners how this is not only a game changer for the XRP community, but altcoins all across the digital asset space are set to benefit from the approval of ETFs in the USA. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Evening Crypto, your favorite crypto news related channel. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy this type of content, be sure to subscribe and smash that like button as it greatly helps out the brand new program. This is the news out of Bloomberg today. Bloomberg ETF analyst raises his XRP approval odds to 95% in the calendar year of 2025. And this is extremely high, even compared to other crypto projects in the space, because I think this is extremely relevant for all altcoin investors. Litecoin, Solana, and XRP all have 95% approval odds in the calendar year of 2025. Now, the first date that people should be aware of is October 17, 2025, when Grayscale's spot XRP ETF will have a definitive decision from the SEC. Now, that will quickly be followed by companies like Bitwise, WisdomTree, 21 Shares, and Franklin Templeton combining for over $2 trillion in assets under management. Solana's approval date could come on October 10th, and Litecoin may end up being the first altcoin approved here with 95% approval odds by October 2nd, 2025. Now, checking out the other category down below, we have Dogecoin at 90%, Cardano at 90%, Avalanche and HBAR both trading at 90%. SUI has a 60% approval odd. Now, the reason this is going to impact everyday crypto investors like our live chat and our community is because the minute these vehicles are approved inside the United States, that is when Wall Street investors begin pitching these products to their clients, not only for their retirement portfolios, but just to be used as a vehicle against inflation. And what does our community know for sure? There are 19 different XRP ETFs sitting at the SEC today, and it's over $2 trillion worth of asset managers that are set to have these products launched before the calendar year of 2025 comes to a close. So live chat, I would love to know, ones, if you believe an XRP ETF is approved in the calendar year of 2025. Twos in chat if you simply think the SEC is going to deny these products in October. But the evidence is stacked against them, because what the SEC is going to be forced to do here, if they don't approve these products, they are going to need a rational and logical explanation as to why regular investors should not have access to XRP, Solana, or Dogecoin through a regulated and fully secured ETF product. Now, these products are already live today in Canada, as earlier this week, we had the first ever North American spot XRP ETF go live on the Toronto Exchange in Canada, marking a major moment for the industry and reminding a lot of crypto investors what happened back in 2021 when the Bitcoin spot product was approved in Canada before the United States followed several years later. And currently, Coinbase's CLO says it's time to catch up as Canada has beat the United States to a spot XRP ETF. And it's not just their chief legal officer, it's also Coinbase's CEO Brian Armstrong that is speaking to this issue, stating this: the world needs crypto now more than ever. Debt is growing exponentially, inflation is crippling nations, economic freedom is declining, and it's time to increase economic freedom globally with digital assets. And what have we seen? Since the election of Donald Trump, the United States has been nothing but committed to the success of the digital asset class, and specifically United States-based products. And that is something I see sticking out on these ETF applications. Solana, XRP, Cardano, and HBAR, as well as Avalanche, are all United States products set to be offered at the back end of 2025. Now, someone else who agrees with the same sentiment is Sal Gilberti, responsible for the first ever 2x XRP ETF that was issued inside the United States. He is doing an interview at XRP Las Vegas discussing how there is massive demand from Wall Street ready to enter the XRP project.
We heard from JP Morgan. They predicted 4 to 8 billion of inflows into the spot ETFs year one. Is this conservative? Is it too much? What do you think about that?
I'll go with 8 or higher.
Yeah, a little low.
I think they're a little low on XRP. I think they underestimate the XRP community. I think they underestimate Ripple. Ripple's boredness, okay, I'll call it, where these guys are coming. They're building out every day. They're working as we're sitting here speaking. It's coming.
And Sal sends a strong message to the industry that even analysts like JP Morgan and Wells Fargo are underestimating the impact that it will have when Wall Street investors are now pitching blockchain to their clients. And inevitably, they're going to end up in some of our favorite projects because those are the projects with the best leadership teams and the best technologies. Now, those 4 projects that I constantly state here: XRP, HBAR, Chainlink, and AVAX. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button and subscribe to the brand new Good Evening Crypto channel. But breaking down our next next topic, we're going to show you how the banks are finally moving into the blockchain sector and how that's set to benefit retail investors. Throughout this week, our channel has been reporting on the Genius Act, which will be the first stablecoin regulation passed inside the United States. It has currently made it through the Senate and should be voted on the House in the next couple of weeks. Corresponding with this news, we saw some of the largest financial institutions on the planet in Bank of America, JP Morgan, Citibank, and Wells Fargo all announced that they had plans to launch a stablecoin. These four global powerhouses are considering launching a joint stablecoin project, with players like JP Morgan and Bank of America now leveraging blockchain products to improve their existing business models. We are set to see demand for these assets exponentially ramp up towards the back end of this calendar year. And it starts with the Genius Act being passed this summer. We then have the Clarity Act, which will define which of these assets are commodities and which of these assets are securities. But I'm going to show you a brief video here from Charles Hoskinson, the co-founder of Cardano, describing how banks are terrified of the Genius Act.
What this does is it dollarizes the developing world. So all these places are going to start using stable coins, and they won't even use their banks anymore. So this is going to seriously fuck up the banking systems of the developing world, because if I'm like in Argentina, why the fuck would I put my money in one of their garbage banks, that steals your money and, all this stuff? I'll just buy a stable coin and now have peer-to-peer relationships. So when I buy Microsoft products, I can just buy it with my stable coin. When I get paid by somebody abroad, they pay me in a stable coin, right? So basically, whether they like it or not, like, it dollarizes the entire world, and it really helps the US. So this is a big deal. And right now there's about $243 billion in stable coins. There's about 180 million transactions per month. There's going to probably be $1 trillion worth of stable coins by 2030. And that's just natural growth as we go through. But it could grow all the way up to 2 to 3. But I think the Cent is being a bit optimistic. That said, he's been talking to the big institutions like JP Morgan and these other guys, and they wanted it. They just flip a switch and move shit there.
And we are on the precipice of a flip of the switch moment, not only for the banking sector, but for the digital asset class as a whole. As for the first time, it's investors like ourselves and the very people watching this video who are not only front running Wall Street. All of the speculation that we have been discussing, all of the narratives that we've been connecting behind the scenes, they are coming to fruition before our very eyes. And a piece of data that I shared with you all earlier in the week is currently stablecoins make up 8% of the total market cap of crypto, meaning for every $100 in the crypto market, 8 of those dollars are in stablecoins. If we see the stablecoin asset class grow from where it is today at about $200 billion, north of $2 trillion by the year 2030, we are looking at a minimum of a $16 trillion crypto market, massively benefiting some of the projects that we've been outlining. I would love to hear, ones, if you believe this market reaches $16 trillion by the year 2030. Twos in chat if you think we stay below that number for the remainder of the decade. I want to make a point about just how early our entire community is. With this market heading into the alt season that many of us have been predicting, I wanted to show our listeners just how much XRP it takes to be a 1% investor in the digital asset space. Now, today, all across America, 175 million Americans do not have $500 in their emergency funds. That means not only don't have exposure to crypto, even if they decided they wanted to get exposure to crypto, they do not have the capital funds to get exposure to this market. When we look at some of the data here for XRP, there are only 235,000 accounts around the world that have between 500 and 1,000 XRP. There's only 500,000 accounts around the world that have between 1,000 and 5,000 XRP. But when we get up to these ranges of 10,000 to 25,000 tokens, there is only 250,000 investors on planet Earth that have more than 10,000 XRP today. And that is why I think the discussion that people need to be having with themselves is, if we are as early as we know we are, why not get the most exposure possible? It is going to be extremely difficult post alt season in 2025 for regular retail investors to go out and accumulate digital assets just like XRP. And as we head into an environment where some of our favorite projects are 2xing, 3xing, even 5xing in price in a very short period of time, these assets that we're discussing today are only going to become less accessible to the regular retail investor. So I'd love to hear from our live chat. Do you believe XRP reaches a double-digit figure here in 2025? Ones for yes, twos for no. Here's the inevitable circumstance here. Regular retail investors are being priced out of the crypto market, and it was less than 24 months ago that a project like XRP XRP was almost inaccessible inside the United States because many of the largest exchanges here were not offering it to regular people like ourselves. Now we're in an environment that showed us just how quickly the crypto market can change. Here's Raul Paul telling us how this asset class is set to be the fastest growing asset class. Here it is.
Here we are now. Calmly clearer to me. I've shown you the macro evidence, the technical evidence, the sentiment evidence. Everything here suggests to me that hold on to your hats. Don't fuck this up. Don't lose control of your tokens. Don't use leverage. Don't get your wallet hacked. Just sit with it. Be careful. Don't get FOMO. Do all of the right things, and we'll go up to the next phase of corrections. That's going to be harder because the next one that happens will have a 35% drop, and you'll all say, "Is it over?" And you'll definitely be sure it's over. And everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be over. By our work, we suggest that because of the elongation of the business cycle, because rates were higher for longer, the forward-looking liquidity suggests that, again, probabilistically speaking, without any guarantees, this whole thing goes into Q1, maybe Q2 of 2026, which would align with Trump's, trying to win the midterms as well.
Guys, I'd love to hear ones if you believe we get an alt season before 2026, twos in chat if you think it takes until after those deadlines. But let's wrap it up, just kind of summarizing what we went through today. What do we know for sure? Wall Street is only a few months away from pitching these assets to their clients, and every single person listening to this channel is here before that moment. Whether it's billions of dollars from stablecoins, crypto ETFs, or new regular retail investors learning about this asset class and deciding I need exposure to crypto, we are on the precipice of something historic, and it's not just here inside the United States. As Dom from the Easy A app just shared this information with us this morning, I just had lunch with some of the biggest institutional investors in Hong Kong. Think JP Morgan and BlackRock. They see American-made crypto leading the way and will help deploy record amounts of new capital inside the United States. If you enjoyed this content, be sure smash that like button, subscribe to the brand new crypto channel, and we'll see you in the next one.